Whether you're a parent navigating myofunctional disorders or simply curious about optimizing your family's overall health, the MyoHacker Podcast is your guide. Hi, I'm Karindy, a speech-language pathologist, myofunctional therapist, and a mom on a mission to bring holistic health to you and your family. Together, we'll explore whole-body connections and integrative solutions. Please subscribe and leave us a 5-star review to help other families discover this important information. Visit myohackerslp.com for free resources and guides. Quick disclaimer. The content shared in this podcast is for information and entertainment purposes only. The views and opinions expressed by the host and guests do not necessarily reflect those of the podcast or its affiliates. This podcast does not provide medical, legal, or professional advice. Always consult a professional regarding your circumstances. By listening, you agree that the host and podcast are not responsible for any actions you may take based on the information provided. Now, let's dive into today's episode. Welcome. Before we jump into this interview with Courtney, I wanted to let you know that at the end, she shares where you can follow her on Instagram, and her Instagram handle has since changed. So go follow her now as you're listening at neuro.healing.mama on Instagram. Welcome to the MyoHacker Podcast. With us today is Courtney Mallally. She is an incredible mother that I met at CFT this past fall, where I was facilitating and helping with the teaching. Kim and Holly, as you know, are the instructors, but some of us will come and we will support the students that are learning the techniques. And I was so impressed with Courtney during this training. Her son, Everett, was there. And this is really where Courtney's story is going to take off for us during this interview, is her story with Everett. So Courtney, welcome to the MyoHacker Podcast. Please introduce yourself to everyone and tell them your story with Everett.
Hi, I'm Courtney. My story with Everett kind of starts like 5 years before he was born, when I kind of had my awakening to what's happening in the world with the tyrannical government and the petroleum industry and the pharmaceutical industry and everything. So when I got pregnant with Everett, I wanted to have a home birth. I had a midwife. After like 3 days of labor, 6 hours of pushing, she said, you can either have him later tonight, he's going to need resuscitation, or you can go to the hospital. And I think she was just kind of done being there. And so I went to the hospital, home birth transfer. As soon as I got there, they were just kind of like, he's not coming out of you naturally. So emergency C-section. I could speculate all day long as to how or why everything went down. But he suffered loss of oxygen during that emergency C-section and was diagnosed with HIE at birth.
Which HIE, for people listening, is going to be hypoxic-ischemic encephalopathy. And I know he had some other things too.
Oh, yeah. So I'm going to back up. He received the vitamin K, even though I signed and said none of that. They don't consider that one. So when they wheeled him into me in the recovery room, he was in an incubator. He had the CPAP machine on. He held my finger and he cried. And I just wanted to, take my baby right then and go home. But they didn't like the way he was breathing, obviously. So they went to the NICU. He was intubated, cooled, and put on meds. 4 days later, MRI says severe global white matter damage. It took 3 weeks, but we got him to breathe on his own, eat on his own, and I weaned him off all of the meds before we left. And since we got home, it's been a journey of natural healing. I've been to lots of neurologists, and they're very surprised that he's like sitting up. I've made a guide for Child Brain Regeneration, and it has basically the whole protocol that I've been following to heal him.
So let's talk about that, because you were told some very specific things when you were in the hospital. Can you tell us maybe some of the lows that you experienced there? And then what was it like? How did you have this mindset shift that you were going to try some things differently? And then let's talk about those pillars of really the regeneration guide that you have created for families to consider?
Yeah, I mean, one of the biggest lows was definitely those first days with a neurologist who obviously has all this training and all this education. She said he probably won't walk, talk, or live any kind of normal life. And she's looked at me and said, it's okay to have hope. Because I was like, well, there's also these children who suffer anoxic brain injuries from drowning and stuff, and they make full recoveries. So that was pretty much the moment where like, okay, yes, there's a lot of education there, but there's more. There's more that they don't know about with brain healing, obviously.
So you went home, and I'm sure that was wild, just even
Yeah.
getting home, leaving the hospital. Take us through maybe those first days, some of the things you did, and then let's go ahead and talk about the pillars of the Child Brain Regeneration Guide and some of those daily non-negotiables, nutrition and terrain, all of those things.
Yeah. One of the first things that I did when we got home was call a craniosacral therapist. I have since learned about craniosacral fascial therapy, which is even more cool. Yeah, one of the big core principles of it is moving his body, keeping his body as loose as possible because, he's not using his brain to run through the movements that keep the body nice and loose and everything. So like my main thing every day is joint compression, fascia work, and just putting him in the crawling position, putting him in all these positions that he normally would have been in already, just to keep his body loose until he's ready to use his brain and work his muscles on his own.
That definitely sounds like neuromovement. Have you been doing neuromovement work?
I feel like I've heard of that, but no. All of it kind of blends together, to be honest.
Okay,
I feel
amazing.
like.
But I think that speaks to some of the intuitiveness behind a lot of these techniques. And I know in your guide, you talk about things like primitive reflexes. Like there are so many things that you talk about. So for the family that's listening, they have maybe been through a similar experience or they've experienced brain injury and they are looking at alternative things to consider. I would love it if you sort of talk through people, like how did you come about some of these things? Maybe what was the research you did? And what are some of the things that you have found to be really beneficial for Everett?
I think I'll speak on nutrition here because I think it is absolutely foundational. I have a holistic nutritional therapist certification through the Nutritional Therapy Association, and they are huge on Weston A. Price research. Weston A. Price was the doctor who went around and studied the airway and the jaw and how pretty much the jaw has just like collapsed in a few generations because of the loss of animal fats and proteins and things. At first, I was kind of scared to switch him to raw goat's milk because I grew up, okay, raw is bad. It could cause illness. But that's just not the case. It's like the most nourishing thing. And we drink the raw goat's milk now too. And it's just so healing. And first he was on a toddler formula because it was the only one I could find that didn't have seed oils in it. And he just did not tolerate it. He was constantly spitting up and having crazy bowel movements. But since I've switched him to Weston A. Price ancestral diet, he has great bowel movements. He is happy. He's healing. Yeah.
Okay, tell people that are listening, what is the Weston A. Price ancestral diet?
Okay, so it's animal fats like butter, tallow, lard. It's protein like eggs, steak, all the meats, meat stock. Meat stock is so healing. Bone broth. Eggs are a huge part of his diet, so he's only bottle eating. And I know that there are people who put this concoction into G-tube feedings as well. It's mostly raw goat's milk, eggs, cod liver oil. I give him raw liver and raw heart. Yeah, it's organs. It's the way our ancestors ate.
Amazing. Has he tried any other organs?
Not that I can think of, no.
Have you tried, I'm just curious, have you tried any of the blends, like the organ blends? Those tend to be dried, so I don't know. How is he doing with dried particulates?
Oh, you mean like powders?
Yeah, yeah.
So I've blended them up. Yeah, so he's bottle. So I blend everything up and then I put it through a strainer into a bottle. He takes mushroom powders. He takes all kinds of supplements and stuff like that. Yeah.
How
But
incredible. Yeah.
I would have to say that the raw, I know it sounds absolutely crazy based on how most people eat, but the like easiest, best way to consume organs is in their raw form.
Yes.
Our ancestors got an animal and immediately went for the liver. It's the most nutrient-dense thing you could put in your body. But the most bioavailable way for your body to absorb those nutrients is it being raw.
And it's so incredible to think about the fact that he's getting this exposure young, because as we see, like the earlier the exposure to different palatal choices or choices for the palate, you know, that we don't get that kind of aversion and pickiness if we're really exposed to all of these different things. And yes, kids will get kind of choosy with, oh, they don't like that anymore. But the fact that you're continuing this exposure and he's getting the benefit of these incredible organs, like, I love that for his eyes, for his brain, for the myelination, all of that. Okay, so nutrition and terrain. Tell us about that. Like, that is a part of the pillars. You have nutrition and terrain is the second one. What do you mean by terrain?
I don't know if you've ever heard about germ theory versus terrain theory.
Tell us.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes,
So germ theory is essentially that you can cough or you can get sick from someone else's particles. Terrain is saying that it's the environment, it's the terrain. You can get sick from the environmental things that are happening with the water and the food and the air. And you can even catch something from someone's energy. But scientifically, I follow Dr. Thomas Cowan, and he speaks on this a lot. And supporting the terrain is the diet and the herbs and the time in nature and movement of the body.
Wow. Okay,
Yeah.
so are you familiar with Dr. Zach Bush and some of his work?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so
He's
does that
super
play
cool.
in much into what you're looking at? Or, I mean, I guess that's different. That's more the terrain. And he's talking about building the terrain, the microbiome, and supporting it in spite of all of the exposures that we have, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. The terrain theory, if you go to terraintheory.net, it explains it a lot better than I can, but it just makes so much more sense to me instinctively than the theory that is being put out there, mainstream.
You know, I'm going to get so many emails and things. People are going to be like, what is happening? This isn't what is happening. But guys, I do
so
think
different.
I think it's so important that we have these discussions and then we talk about things and that we're questioning theories that are out there, you know, and that really we're looking at, I mean, really, how is it going to be harmful for us to be supporting our internal terrain and external? The skin is very important as well.
Yeah, it's our biggest organ.
So talk about the daily non-negotiables that you have on the guide.
Really, I just make sure to move his body. On there, it has different things as like, you know, positions to put them in, different ways to work the fascia, sensory stuff. Connection is a huge thing. And, you know, it's just kind of a struggle sometimes, especially because it's like almost traumatic to look at my child sometimes, just because of everything that's gone on. But yeah, and at first, especially when he was on formula, there was a lot of crying, and I just couldn't, you know, figure out why. And I just had to try so hard to just hold him and let him know that I've got him through whatever he's experiencing because of the things that he's experienced. But it is, I think it's just super essential to move their bodies. Like, of course, they just want to lay there and be their little cute grubby selves, but it is essential to like, and it's really, you know, hard because we didn't sign up to be caregivers. We just wanted to be parents, and now we're physical therapists, healers, dietitians.
Yes.
Yeah.
CFT practitioner.
Yeah. Yeah. So like, that's why it says like 5 to 20 minutes, you know, every time you get 5 to 20 minutes, just like put him in standing, put him in crawling, do the reflex integrations, just keep the body moving.
Wow. What about for you? How do you keep yourself, and maybe you have this that you talk about too, but how do you keep from burning out as you're facilitating these things for Everett?
I went on a 3-day silent meditation retreat recently. Meditation is a game changer for sure. Being able to just sit and focus on your breath for 10 minutes and just like be in that awareness that has been a big game changer for me. My biggest mindset with all of it is that our bodies are innately designed to heal when given the right environment. And I mean, I saw that in myself when I got really sick coming off of birth control, and through diet, lifestyle, nature, I healed myself. Like I couldn't get through the day without taking a 4-hour nap. Like I was so ill, and these are the things that healed me, and these are the things that are healing my son.
Which I haven't talked about that. I mean, it's pretty incredible to see him in action and see all that he is overcoming and how deeply he is connecting with you and with others around him. So I do want us to keep working through these pillars because I know that people are literally taking notes. They're like, what else? What are the other things? You discuss therapies, and then, well, let's talk about the therapies because I know there are a lot that you all have tried, and I'd love to hear your experience because I know that it's not like every practitioner is the same and not every modality is the same. So talk through some of the therapies you all are doing and then some of the therapies that you highly recommend.
Okay. So yeah, we've tried a bunch, and I honestly wish if I could go back, I would have given each one a little more time because I was like, I have 4 years to get it all in because that's what someone said. So all of them, I think, have moved the needle a little bit. I will say that photobiomodulation, the oral lays, his whole body was relaxed afterwards. I mean, he's usually kind of like this, fisted, like tensed up. After that, he was just so relaxed. It was insane. He was so confused about his body. That one was a game changer.
So I'm curious. So he did, when it's infants, we usually call it baby lace. And then typically as it's older, we'll call it oral lace. I'm curious, did you see that reaction after the first session or was it the first couple of sessions?
First session.
Wow.
Yeah. On the way home, he took a nap and then he woke up and we were like, is his arm broken? Like his arm was just completely relaxed. It was insane. Yeah. Actually, I just scheduled more. A quantum reflex integration, and it's 3 days of cold laser therapy and reflex integrations. It's in Crystal Springs, Florida. I'm hoping that one is also going to be a big game changer. But
amazing. I can't wait. Yeah. You'll have to report back and you'll have to share.
For sure. But I think it's just very bio-individual from child to child.
Yes.
And I go to the practitioners. I try to find the holistic ones that are kind of, root cause. And they always lead me to other people and other things. And I'm like, okay, based on finances and my capacity, what can we try? And what is working for him? I think that's the most important thing. It's just like, they're not all cookie cutter, diagnoses. It's all very different. The bodies are just so different,
Yes. And I know was it recently that you went through the physical therapy intensive, or has that been sort of pulsed? Have you been doing that on and off?
So I've tried, when he was 9 months old, I took him to this place in Florida for a month, and that was, 20 sessions over 4 weeks every day for an hour. That was way too intense for him. That was way too much for him. So since then, we've tried this DMI physical therapy. He hates it. Other kids I see love it, and they're like, yeah, we're moving. My kid hates it. He does not want to move. He wants to be coddled. He wants mommy to take care of him.
Right.
Yeah. So there's that. And then we're actually right now, I'm in an Airbnb. We're in Springfield, Missouri. I'm from Cincinnati. And I met this woman at that CFT thing. And she has a 14-year-old with CP, and she's an Anat Banyal method practitioner.
So that's neuromovement that I was talking about earlier.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So ABM.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. That's what we're here doing. We're in an intensive for that, and he loves that.
I was going to say,
Aaron.
based on what you had said, if the intensive, like really that PT intensive had been too much, often it is very beautiful with neuromovement that they are very specific about slowing it down, like really slowing things down so the brain can acquire and organize. Like when we move too fast for that organization to take place. And I'm not a neuromovement practitioner, I should clarify, but I work with them. I collaborate with them. I refer to them. And I really do like, I think they have 9 principles. The 9 principles, it's actually made a big impact in how I do therapy personally, because I realized I would be really big sometimes on, and again, it's the bioindividuality. Like some patients really need that, okay, drill, drill, drill. We're going to get this down. That's the neuroplasticity. We want that. And then I just, with so many different neurodivergent patients, I realized not always do we need that repetition pattern. In that way, it might be that we have a very salient signal one time, and then we give space and quiet and let the brain organize and respond, and then we can add in more. But that's just, so I'm actually thrilled that you guys are doing there. Are you considering going over and seeing Angie maybe for some more baby lace?
I'll have to schedule that, but yeah, for sure.
'Cause it wouldn't be that far from you guys where you're at.
Yeah, she's in Columbia, Illinois, I think, yeah.
Okay, so let's keep going. What about the healing role of earth, light? We've talked about photobiomodulation a little bit, but I think you probably mean sunlight and rhythm.
Yeah, getting him his feet on the earth and his eyes in the sunshine every morning is not only big for him, but big for me.
Yeah.
We have gotten so far away as a society of like earth. Like, you know, our ancestors were living with the earth every day. My username is Neanderthal because I'm like, I want to go back to the way they were living. I don't care if they had a short lifespan. I don't care if they weren't that comfortable. I feel like that was just the easiest, most healthiest way to live, you know, with the land, with the seasons. That's kind of what I mean by rhythm. Because like right now, I'm going to bed at 7 or 8 o'clock sometimes, but you know, or in the summer, it's like way later. I'm getting more done. The sun's out.
Yes.
Yeah.
You actually have a rhythm to your seasonality of living.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And also just rhythm wise, like trying to keep him on like some sort of schedule rhythm, even with all the traveling and the craziness. Just like, okay, you know, bedtime ritual. We have our morning ritual and our bedtime ritual, and we just try to keep things nice and ritual rhythmed for him.
Which is so good for you, too. Just your own nervous system to have that expectation and go like, we do have rhythm. We do have that, you know. Our mitochondria or our body, like circadian rhythm, it likes to just have, okay, what is it we're doing? Now, are we doing big systemic cleanup or are we getting ready for mobilization? Like the body likes to know what it's doing. Okay, then you talk about divine guidance. Like you've already mentioned meditation and prayer. You quoted scripture in that page. Like talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I'm all over the place. I love it. I think that God is unconditional love and Jesus healed people with his hands. And so I'm healing my son with my hands, and I'm healing other people with my hands with craniosacral fascial therapy.
All right, so you're getting to practice it very much?
Yeah. Yeah, it's awesome.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
How would you say utilizing CFT at home has impacted your relationship with Everett?
I feel like I'm just way more in tune with his body. I feel like, you know, I put my hands on him and I just get to listen, like what's going on in there. I think his rib cage and his arms is always very, very tight. So I focus there. Aaron even said the same thing, like focus right there. Yeah, I'm just like, and I think that that's how cool CFT is. It's like getting to really listen to the body, like where is that tension that needs to be released so we can live our most full Kundalini awakened life.
Yes, yes. Okay, so for anyone that is listening and they're like, I want to get this guide, where do they go? How do they find you? Tell them all the ways.
Really, I'm just using my Instagram platform right now, Conscious Neanderthal.
So spell that for everyone.
Conscious is CONCSCIOUS, and Neanderthal spelled differently, NEANDRATHAL. And the link is in my bio. I'm not very tech savvy. I'm a millennial, but I'm not very tech savvy.
You're getting there. No, this is amazing. This is amazing.
Yeah.
I love this. And as we were talking, I think there are going to be some great things for families and for connection just coming forward, just seeing how much you are really bringing awareness to this space. So I encourage you guys, go follow Courtney at Conscious Neanderthal and check out the guide. It really is beautiful. You know, I've seen lots of different guides for like the Functional Medicine Institute guide for traumatic brain injury. It's great. Like all of these things, there are so many ways we can be conscious of supporting the body, from whether it's biohacking or, you know, more ancestral types of things. But I loved with your guide, in just, I think it's only 8 pages, you actually blend very beautifully some of these big hitters and how it's like, okay, how do we get a little bit more of this ancestral type of living with a big focus on being outside, being outdoors, as well as some of these biohacks and utilizing like modern breakthroughs that we have in this dance with ancestral legacy that we want to continue. So I love that.
Very cool. Yeah, thank you.
Yes. All right, everyone. As you can tell, it's just been a joy to meet Courtney, meet Everett, of course. And your mom, she was there. She was at CFT. She was like so amazing. Like I love that. You guys already are having just a beautiful tribe community for Everett, which is wonderful. So I encourage you all to connect with Courtney and follow along, because the interventions that she is doing, yes, they might be cutting edge, or they might push boundaries for some people, and they might be a little uncomfortable with it. But I really wanted us to highlight this conversation because I think we need to question things and consider different ways to intervene, especially if what has been really recommended doesn't resonate with what we're feeling and seeing for our own child. So I see all the time parents know their kids and they really know what they need at a deeper level. I want for parents to be able to be trained in how to hone their own intuition and lean into that, because it's just beautiful when we have that connection as family units. So, all right, everyone, thank you again for listening. This is the MyoHacker Podcast. Please like, share, follow. It helps to get this information out to lots of families that, as you know, need it. Thank you, guys. I'll talk to you all soon.
I hope you have enjoyed this episode of the MyoHacker Podcast. Remember, small changes can make big impacts on our overall health and well-being. If you enjoyed this episode, please take a moment to rate and review wherever you get your podcasts. This way, more families will learn about this important information and we can make a bigger impact. Head on over to myohackerslp.com for in-depth resources and guides. You can also join me on Instagram at MyoHackerSLP for bonus content and demos. And if you have questions or topic suggestions for future episodes, send me a message. I would love to hear from you. Until next time, let's biohack myofunctional health as myohackers who change the world through intentional action and connection and breathing. Quick disclaimer reminder: the content shared in this podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only.